Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Dan Jesse Lee Soffer's post-Chicago PD role has young Hank Voight all over it. Jesse Lee Soffer's role in FBI International evokes a young Hank Voight. Jason Begg, from Chicago PD. Soffer is a familiar face in the One Chicago universe, as he played Jay Halstead in Chicago PD for the first 10 seasons. Ironically, Halstead was the idealistic but pragmatic cop who often struggled with Voight's decisions to bend the law in the name of justice, making him the opposite of Soffer's character in FBI International. Soffer's Wes Mitchell is a newcomer to the elite fly team, having first joined the cast of characters in FBI International Season 4. Mitchell is a former LAPD cop and FBI agent who first traveled to Budapest seeking vengeance after international criminals killed his partner, but soon took a leadership role. Mitchell leads the fly team differently than outgoing leader Scott Forrester, Luke Kleintank, and is first finding his footing shortly before FBI International wraps up permanently. FBI International established Mitchell's impulsive, hot-headed nature from his first scene, making it clear that he would not be the same type of leader that Forrester was. Forrester was level-headed and skilled at diplomacy. He often had to negotiate with local law enforcement agencies to get them to cooperate with his agents. Mitchell, however, brings Voight-like energy to his new role. He has no patience for local interference with cases and responds to conflicts by becoming aggressive. He also often decides on a course of action at the last minute and doesn't always keep his team informed of his plans. In short, Mitchell often acts the same way Voight does toward suspects in order to get results. Additionally, both men need a second-in-command who will rein them in if necessary. In Mitchell's case, that's Cameron Vanessa Vedado. Voight warned Mitchell at the beginning that his strong-arm tactics wouldn't work in the world of international crime, but Mitchell had to learn that the hard way after his attempts at intimidating a criminal led to Voight getting shot. CBS canceled several shows recently, including FBI International. This decision is especially unfortunate for Soffer, as he has only been part of the procedural during the final season. Thus, there is very little character development possible for Mitchell. He's already toned down his impulsivity and aggression slightly, and it is likely his arc will end there. Of course, Mitchell may be sent to work with the New York field office within the broader FBI universe, or another network will pick up FBI International. However, since no such announcements have yet been made, it appears that Mitchell's story will end on May 20, 2025, when FBI International airs its series finale. This is unfortunate, as Mitchell's character and personality offer so many potential directions for a character-driven story. Mitchell could have completely changed course after Voight's shooting, but did not, instead going rogue to get revenge. That decision almost came back to bite him when an agent was sent to spy on him and find evidence of wrongdoing, but she quickly switched sides and then left. If there were more time, FBI International could explore this or other fallout from Mitchell's behavior more thoroughly, sparking genuine character growth. Jay Halstead's disappointing exit from Chicago PD led to widespread interest in Soffer, reprising the role to give the audience closure. Now that FBI International has been canceled, there is no logistical reason Halstead couldn't return either temporarily or permanently, assuming Soffer is interested in doing so. However, the fact that Soffer played two roles within the same universe without an explanation of why they looked similar might be awkward. While this behind-the-scenes issue shouldn't be a reason not to go ahead with a Halstead return, it should be addressed. FBI International ignored Soffer's previous role, so Chicago PD could do the same thing if Soffer were to choose to return. However, the FBI franchise is set in the same universe as One Chicago, and Halstead's ex-wife, Haley Upton, Tracy Spiridakos, once came to New York to help Jubal with a case. Thus, it could be distracting to that part of the audience that watches both shows to have Soffer jump back and forth between them without acknowledging or explaining the physical similarities between the roles, and Chicago PD would need to explain it to maintain in-universe continuity. Damn. That's the first word that came to mind watching Jesse Lee Soffer in his new post-Chicago PD role, because make no mistake, he may have hung up his badge as Detective Jay Halstead, but the ghost of Hank Voight is still following him, and this time it's looking a lot like a younger version of the legend himself. The project is gritty, it's raw, and Soffer. He's tapping into a whole new gear. Gone is the wide-eyed moral compass of the intelligence unit. What we're getting now is something darker, sharper. And if you squint hard enough, you'll see it. The steely resolve, the unflinching stare, I'll do what needs to be done swagger. Jesse Lee Soffer isn't playing Hank Voight, but he may as well be playing the man 25 years earlier, before the world knocked all the softness out of him. Let's set the scene. Soffer's new character, Detective Rowan Beck, is an undercover operative embedded in a web of corruption so thick, even the feds are scared to touch it. He's got 1 foot in law enforcement, 1 foot in the underworld, and a heart that beats for justice, albeit the kind that comes wrapped in duct tape and bruised knuckles. Sound familiar? Beck doesn't play by the rules, not because he doesn't respect them, but because he's seen too much to believe they work. When he's in the interrogation room, he doesn't shout, he whispers. When he makes a threat, you believe it. And when he promises to protect someone, it's not with bodyguards or paperwork. It's with his own damn life. Watching Soffer maneuver through these morally murky waters is like watching a young Hank Voight discover his edge. You can almost imagine Jason Biggs' version of Voight watching from the shadows, nodding approvingly, gravelly voice murmuring, "Kid's got the fire." What's wild is that Soffer isn't even trying to copy Voight. He's just channeling something so real, so visceral, that it feels like destiny. There are scenes where he's alone, sitting on the edge of a motel bed, blood on his hands, jaw clenched in frustration, and you can practically hear the echoes of Voight's old haunts on Chicago PD, the lighting, the mood, the weight of it all. It's cinematic déjà vu in the best way possible. But let's be real. Jesse Lee Soffer has always had layers. On Chicago PD, Halstead was the team's moral anchor, but every once in a while, you saw the shadow flicker. The lines he didn't want to cross, but might. The decisions that haunted him. That ability to walk the tightrope between order and chaos, that's what he's unleashed now full force. In one standout scene, Beck corners a crooked city councilman in a parking garage. No backup. No cameras, just the two of them and a briefcase full of dirty money. The man tries to talk his way out of it, smug and slippery. Beck doesn't say a word, just steps forward, looks him dead in the eye, and says, "You know what happens next." Chills. And for fans of Chicago PD, it hits like a freight train, because it's not just what he says, it's how he says it. That tone, that grit, that Voightness. We're not watching a man lose his way. We're watching a man choose his path, consequences be damned. There's something poetic about it too. Soffer spent a decade playing the prodigy, the rule follower who kept the Voight-style justice in check. Now in this new role, he's rewriting the playbook. He's the one making the hard calls, the one who doesn't flinch when a little pressure is needed. It's like Jay Halstead's spirit cracked open, and all the things he buried deep. The darkness, the fury, the pragmatism. They're alive and well in Rowan Beck. And if we're honest, it suits him. Fans are already buzzing, calling Beck Voight 2.0 on social media, with side-by-side clips going viral. You've got Voight's iconic "You Wanna Talk to Me" line next to Beck's cold stare and deadpan "You really think this ends well for you?" And yeah, it feels like a passing of the torch, even if it's unintentional. Is this a spiritual prequel? No, but emotionally, tonally, it might as well be. What's even more impressive is how Soffer isn't relying on nostalgia to carry the weight. He's built a whole new character, distinct in his own right. More surgical, less explosive than Voight, but no less dangerous. Where Voight would smash through the front door, Beck slips in the back window and listens. Then he strikes. This role is Soffer unchained. It's what happens when you take everything he learned from a decade on one of the most intense procedural dramas, mix it with a darker edge and let him lead with a chip on his shoulder. And the fans, they're here for it. Reddit threads are lit, Twitter's ablaze. TikTok edits are already putting Beck's quiet rage to moody trap beats. There's even a fan theory floating around that Beck is somehow related to Voight. A long-lost nephew or illegitimate son. It's far-fetched, sure, but the vibe is dead on.